Welcome, folks, to another exciting episode on our channel at Bru Krebs. I am your host, Bru, and today we have a treat for all you real estate enthusiasts out there. Are you dreaming of owning a piece of paradise in the beautiful 30A area of Florida? Wondering how to navigate the vibrant, dynamic real estate market in this stunning coastal community? Well, you're in for a treat because today I have a true expert in the field joining us. I'm thrilled to introduce you to Andy Beal, a 30A Florida real estate expert with a wealth of knowledge and experience. Andy is here to share his insights, tips, and insider secrets about the 30A real estate market. And as always, if you do have any questions as we go throughout the video, whether they're for myself or for Andy, be sure that you comment those below and we'll be more than happy to get you the answers. Our goal is clarity and making sure that you get the best information that you can. And we're more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. And if you'd like a more personal touch, please feel free to reach out on the phone, call or text Andy or myself anytime. We both love chatting it up on the phone, so we'd love to talk to you. And whether you're considering making a move today or you're just thinking that maybe have a few questions, we're always here to help, and it's never too soon to start asking those questions. And be sure that you stay tuned to the end of the video today to find out what one of the most important things you must know about if you are thinking about a second home or even a primary in the Florida Panhandle. Whether you're a prospective buyer, seller, or a curious observer, you won't want to miss this interview. So sit back and relax and get ready to soak in the wisdom of Andy Beal as we dive into the world of 30A Florida real estate. Welcome, Andy.
Bru, thanks so much, buddy. So grateful for the opportunity to sit down and just have a conversation with you about one of my favorite things, and that's real estate here in, as you know, one of the most beautiful locations in the entire country. So thanks for having me.
Hey, it's my pleasure. You have become rapidly a legend down there in the area. Andy, tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, and your main areas of expertise, if you don't mind.
Well, glad to do it, Bru. Yeah, so I am with Berkshire Hathaway HomeServices Beach Properties of Florida, one of our sister teams organizations down here. I know you're there in Atlanta, and we've got a great group here. We are the top brokerage up and down 30A as far as volume is concerned, and we have sold a lot of gorgeous properties down here. It's a great team environment, surrounded with tremendous experts and support, and so we want to give all of our clients a tremendous experience when it comes to securing their dream property here at the beach, because I know for most people this is something that they may have been dreaming about for years, and so it's an exciting opportunity and a great company to work for.
Well, thank you for that. And tell me about the lifestyle there. What's it like living at the beach on 30A?
Yeah, well, as you know, Atlanta is one of our greatest, we call them feeder markets. Nashville, Atlanta, Dallas, Fort Worth, those are kind of our biggest areas. But frankly, 30A is becoming a nationwide destination. I run into people all the time from New York, Chicago, Denver, all the way out to California. But living here and the lifestyle that exists, most people that experience it are coming during the peak seasons. They're coming spring break, they're coming during summer break. But what we've been seeing over the last few years is that basically anytime school is out, we've got people here. So we're recording this Thanksgiving week, and the traffic up and down 30A is already picking up as people are arriving and preparing to celebrate Thanksgiving with their family and friends. And it's simply because 30A, it's a small town beach community. You can visit places like Panama City and Destin, and you can go down to Miami and other places, but it's going to have a much more big city feel or touristy destination. But 30A has done a great job of maintaining and keeping that small town feel. So when you think of 30A, you're going to think of things like little beach cottages and these quaint little beach communities up and down that all provide their own unique taste for the beach lifestyle.
Well, and you're right. It's a very short drive from here to Atlanta. You just pop on 75, 85, go straight down to the south, and you're pretty much bam right into 30A. So it's an easy destination for Atlanta, and it's not that commercialized, bang city like you see in Panama City. It's a more relaxed beach atmosphere, where you might be expecting a little bit more of an upscale lifestyle. Would that be fair to say?
100%. Our average price point here is just under $2 million. But we've got listings on the market right now for over 20 million, Gulf front, just family compounds that, could sleep 20 people, it's a destination for anywhere in between, frankly. People see those types of listings and they think, well, I could never have a place on 30A. And, the reality is you can definitely get into the market here at a much lower price point that will allow you and your family to enjoy this place while also having the opportunity to make the investment when it comes to short-term rental possibilities. We're one of the top short-term rental markets in the entire country. And as a result of that, a lot of my clients are almost offsetting entirely their whole cost of ownership while at the same time reaping the benefit of utilizing the property for themselves personally to enjoy with their family and friends, but also gaining some of that wealth growth through appreciation and those types of things.
So it's not only a great place to come and visit, but it's a great place to grow your wealth portfolio.
100%. Most of the people that I talk to, the sellers that I'm working with, I've actually got a listing right now. The original owner of a 3-bedroom condo that was built in the mid 80s. And so he paid $69,000 for this place, and it's currently on the market for $700K,
Wow.
So, most of the folks we work with aren't planning to hold a property for 30 plus years, but the reality is it doesn't take 30 plus years to see some incredible real estate appreciation and wealth growth.
Well, especially if it's paid off, right?
That's exactly right. And that's the interesting thing about our market. I know the biggest challenge that most buyers are facing right now revolves around interest rates, but it's crazy how much cash is actually in this market. The number of people that are coming here paying cash for a property because they know it's going to generate income for them.
So you're seeing a lot of cash purchasers. What percentage of your buyers would you say were cash purchasers?
I think, for me personally, it's 50-50, but I think there are some agents that I work with that, they've been working with longtime investors that are building strong portfolios, and all they're doing is working with cash buyers. So it's absurd to see the number of cash buyers that exist here. But at the same time, there are options for those of you out there that, you're looking at $1 million property going, man, there's no way I could dream of paying cash for something like that. But our market right now is providing some opportunities with high days on market and some sellers that are willing to negotiate and offering some credits that can be utilized for things like rate buy downs to soften the blow a little bit of what the interest rates have been doing lately.
That's good to know. Is there a type that you specialize over another, Andy? Is it luxury homes, condos, vacation rentals, or you just work them all?
Yeah, I'm working anything and everything in between. There are some agents in our market that have been here for 30 years and they focused largely just on Gulf front or those types of things. But I'm in a position in my career right now where I just love serving any client's needs. For my personal story plays into the goals of my business. My wife and I first visited 30A over 10 years ago. And at the time I was working in vocational ministry and, I was making $50,000 a year. And the idea of ever owning a beach home was the furthest pipe dream imaginable. But just as the Lord would have it, our path went in a completely different direction. And we found ourselves in a place financially to do that and to realize the dream of owning a beach home, turning it into a short-term rental, using it with our family and our friends while at the same time paying for itself. Realizing that dream really is part of what inspired me to build my business here, because I know there are so many people that were in the same situation that are thinking it's impossible, but I want to help people realize those dreams that they thought were impossible.
Well, and that kind of gives me a little bit of a segue because I do a lot of motivational speaking myself as well, and talk about following your dreams and manifesting what you visualize. And you sort of exactly what you said in your mind. You thought, okay, I'd like to have this, but I can't. But then all of a sudden it manifested itself, right?
That's exactly right.
And so you're helping people do the same thing. So if there's somebody out there who's thinking, oh my God, I can't afford a place at the beach, maybe put it in your mind, talk to somebody like Andy, then it will actually materialize for yourself. It's so funny. I've seen so many things in my own life that I've written down that I even totally forgot about. And then I look back like 5 years later, like, oh my God, I already did all of this stuff. So that's a good point on that. That's a very good point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Bru, you and I both know, our role, we're here to be guides and advisors when it comes to the real estate needs of our clients. We're not the hero of their story. We want to do what we can to walk alongside them to help them be the hero of their own story, and looking at the future and the memories and the things that you're going to get to experience with your family and friends at a place like 30A by owning a piece of real estate here. Whatever sacrifice that you need to make to make that possible, I would 100% tell you it is absolutely worth it.
Hey, living in the city, it's the concrete jungle. Living at the beach to me sounds like a wonderful thing, even if it was only for a vacation property that maybe someday I did a 1031 and turned into a bigger personal property.
That's exactly right. And honestly, that's what a lot of my clients do. They're going to start with a 2-bedroom condo that they can get for under $1 million. They're going to utilize it and make those memories for a couple of years. And then they're going to roll it into a detached single family, a 3 or 4 bedroom place that's off the beach. And then in 3 to 4 more years, they're going to work themselves a little bit closer to the beach until ultimately they're in a place where they can, from a financial standpoint, secure that forever generational type home that they're going to pass down to kids, grandkids, and they're just going to enjoy forever. So it's a beautiful thing to do, to sit down with someone and basically help them build a roadmap to see what the future could look like if they just follow these steps.
That's fantastic. So how do you stay up, and how would you recommend that people who are considering a move to the area or an investment property, how do they stay up with the market and what's going on in the 30A area?
Well, I think one of the easiest things to do is you can follow me on YouTube or any of the social channels. I literally post the weekly market stats every Monday. So I'm going to do a video update every Monday to let you know what's happening in the market here along 30A. And then obviously the rest of my content is going to be generated to, property tours, buyer and seller tips, and those types of things. The same kind of content that you're producing for the Atlanta market there, they can find that here. But ultimately, that would be kind of a self-guided opportunity. The reality is the best thing to do is just to reach out, have a phone conversation with me. We could hop on Zoom like we're doing right now. And just, I want to hear your dreams. What are you dreaming of? And then I want to help you build a plan to achieve that dream. Now, whether that's the next 60 days or you're looking at 5 to 10 years from now, I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to waste his time. It truly is not a waste of my time. And Bru, I know you would say the same thing to anyone that's thinking about reaching out to you. You're never wasting our time. The reality is, especially in a market like this, the runway is going to be pretty long for a lot of buyers. It's going to take some planning, and it's going to take some time, and it's going to take some special saving and those types of things. But it can't really begin until you have that plan. And so many people just kind of approach it blindly and think, well, maybe one day. Well, my desire is to meet with you, develop a plan so that maybe one day actually turns into a strategic built out plan for you to say, hey, in 2 years, in 3, I'm offset our costs, but we're also going to start making those memories with our family.
Well, I think you point a very good point there. A lot of people think that they don't want to call their real estate agent until, oh my God, I'm ready to buy my house. And that's not true. It could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 4 years before you're ready to actually make the purchase. The important thing is to be well informed and to talk to somebody who can help you guide your way into making the most proficient and efficient decision that does affect your long-term plan the best. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for most people, they're laying in bed at night, thumbing through an app on their phone, looking at properties, but don't really have an understanding through just looking at a house. What's the market actually doing, and is now a good time to make a move, and what options are available to me as a buyer or a seller to maximize my investment?
Well, including those options is going to be incredibly important. So that kind of brings me to my next question. What tips would you start off a prospective buyer of a second home if they were coming, say, from Atlanta, Georgia? Because I know that's going to be a lot of who we're looking at today.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the first question that, beyond just, hey, what are you dreaming of? The next question that I typically ask any client that I'm sitting down to work with for the first time is, what is the ultimate goal for this property? you know, and that's, you know, the list is limitless for the options that exist there. You know, some folks are like, hey, I'm looking for highest ROI, right? I want to put some money into a property and I want it to pay me every month. And then I have some people that are like, I'm not looking to rent this thing at all. It's my house, you know, and I want it to be for my family. And, you know, so identify the goal. What is my goal? And depending on what that goal is, that then allows us to identify the type or the area of 30A that is going to be the best option for what you're considering, right? So it's an 18-mile stretch of scenic highway. And you wouldn't think that within 18 miles, there would be that big of a difference. But each of the little pockets of communities, whether that's, you know, Grayton Beach or Watercolor or Seaside or, you know, down on the eastern end with Rosemary or Alice, you know, each of those communities is going to have a different opportunity that exists to the owners and the buyers that are looking to get in. And so that's the first thing to consider is, what is my goal for this property? And then someone like me that can tell you, hey, if that's your goal, here are the areas that we need to consider that are going to be the best fit for that goal.
So from what I'm hearing from you, again, it's that conversation with you to tell them what they're looking for so that you, as the expert in those areas, can direct them to the right community that best fits their lifestyle. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, and I've got insider knowledge on new development that's happening. You know, as strange as it seems, you know, this short stretch of highway, there wouldn't seem like there would be that many new development opportunities that exist. But even though they are limited, there are some out there, you know, so there's even, you know, you could potentially get into some new construction right now with some builders that are offering some pretty strong incentives simply because they're sitting on some big inventory that, you know, you could capitalize on right now and get some really good rates on.
Wow, that's great. So one thing too, Andy, you know, there's been a lot in the news about commissions and what people are paying. How does that work down there in the 30A area? What if I'm
so obviously typically the way it's working here on 30A, the commission is an agreement between the seller and the listing agent, and then that commission is shared. Typically it's a 50-50 split shared with the buyer's agent. And that's just used to basically pay for the services of that buyer's agent, bringing a buyer to the table for that seller to capitalize on the sale of their home. And so those costs obviously are there to offset that listing agent's marketing expenses, their brokerage expenses. You know, Bru, you and I both know, you know, people see 3 or 6% or 5% or whatever it is on a listing agreement, and they think, man, that guy's making a lot of money. But the reality is, by the time we offset all of our costs and our taxes and those things, it's, you know, we're making good money. I'm not going to sit here and tell you we're not making good money, but we're not clearing a full 6% on the sale of your property. You know, there's a cost associated with that, and it's just a cost of doing business and bringing the types of buyers that you would want to come to work and buy your property if you're trying to sell it.
Well, and I think it's also important for buyers to understand that their agent is representing them and the seller's agent is representing them. Just because the money flows from the seller doesn't mean that the buyer's agent is representing the seller, because there is a clear delineation, and it works the same way here in Atlanta. But I think a lot of people get that muddled, especially with what we've seen in the news here lately, is that everybody's working for the seller and, you know, nobody's working for the buyer. And that's not the case, especially if you have a buyer's brokerage engagement. Is that correct?
And I would say the other big hanging point for these lawsuits that we've been seeing is that, you know, we've got this fixed commission rate, and we're antitrust. And the reality is, you're going to see a broad spectrum of rates. You know, some listings you're going to see 6%, some you're going to see 5%, some you're going to see 4%, and it's all a negotiation that takes place between the listing agent and the seller. And so there is nothing fixed here. You know, if you looked at the average across the market here, we're nowhere close to 6% on average.
Well, and sometimes they're even more than that. So yeah,
that's true. That's exactly right.
It's not a trusted fixed thing, but even though it's been purported to be like that or portrayed like that in the news media here in the last couple of months. Well, Andy, what would be the best advice you could give anyone considered buying a home in your area, whether it be for their primary residence or an investment property?
Yeah, I think, you know, and this is going to sound cliche, but I dream big. You know, that's my biggest recommendation. Don't let limiting beliefs lead you to a place where you feel like something on 30A is impossible for you. I would also recommend, if you've been vacationing on 30A for, I've had clients I've been working with that, they've been literally paying to rent a house $5,000 to $6,000 for a week in the summer for the last 10 years. And if you take that money, there is literally no, if you can figure out a way to gather the money you would need for a down payment to purchase a home, the reality is you would end up paying less on a year basis for the ownership of that home than you would for that 1 week of renting it over the course of the summer. So dream big. Don't let limiting beliefs lead you to a place of assuming that having a place on 30A is impossible for you. It was possible for a guy like me, and if that's the case, it is possible for any of you that are watching this today.
The number one thing is to open the conversation, right? To figure it out, see what's out there.
That is 100% accurate. Yeah, have a conversation.
Right. Well, so if you had to warn somebody about one thing when they're thinking about buying on the coast or in the 30A area, what would that be?
It's interesting. A lot of people would assume that I would say something like hurricanes or things of that nature, but the reality is the vast majority of 30A does not even sit in a floodplain.
Wow.
We have a nice degree of elevation here where most properties, if you're going to be on the north side of 30A, you're never going to deal with any kind of storm surge or anything like that. Now, certainly we've got wind shear and things like that that we need to take into consideration. But it's not this huge thing. I think the biggest thing that I would warn people about is when it comes to financing. A lot of people, the assumption is, man, I could just grab a condo. It's going to be cheaper. The reality is financing on condos along the Gulf Coast, most of the loans that you can secure for that are going to be considered non-warrantable. And not to, get into the weeds on that, but the reality is for a non-warrantable loan, you're going to have to go to specific banks and specific lenders because they're not backed by Fannie and Freddie. Right. And as a result of that, those rates are going to be higher, maybe even up to a full 1.5 points higher than you could on a traditional loan for an investment property on a detached or attached single family. And so though you might have a lower purchase price for a condo, by the time you pay the difference in the financing, you could be looking at a similar month-to-month payment that you could get on a more expensive property that offers a traditional style of financing. So that's one thing that I definitely remind people of whenever we first start talking, because most of the time they want to look at the lower priced condos, but it's an opportunity for you to say, hey, we could actually consider something a little bit more expensive and get you in a detached single family for the same monthly payment, if that makes sense.
Well, and so I would assume detached single families probably appreciate better than condominiums over time.
And that's the other benefit of that. Yes, the detached single families are going to appreciate at a higher rate. And, as crazy as this sounds and as wild as the national market has been displaying, and people are talking about, oh, the market's going to crash. The Q3 report, Berkshire just released the Q3 report for 30A, and up and down 30A for detached single families, we saw an 8% appreciation.
Wow, that's a great
number. Year over year, 8% growth in the market that we're sitting in. 30A is it's a great place to invest.
I take 8% on my investments every single day.
Absolutely, I would.
Especially if it's something I can touch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't. I had a friend tell me one time, you can't dip your toes in a 401k.
You cannot. That I've always said real estate is the greatest wealth builder in this country, and I strongly believe that. And most everybody I know who's built their fortune, they built it off of real estate, and often in beachfront properties or mountain properties, similar to what you're talking about today, Andy. This is a lot of great information. I really, really appreciate you being here with me today. It's a wealth of information for me, and if anybody has any questions, of course, reach out to Andy. Andy, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Oh, Bru, thank you so much. Really enjoyed being on the podcast, on the show, and hope it's a help to so many people that get a chance to take a look.
I think it certainly will be. It's certainly a wealth of knowledge. And for you guys who are out there watching, as always, if you do have any questions, don't forget to comment those in the comments below the video, and we'll be more than happy to get you the answers, or reach out to Andy or myself directly. Whether you have questions about real estate, 38, or just something in general, we're here to help you, and we're very happy to do so. Our phone numbers will also be in the description of the video. And as always, if you did find this video valuable, please consider giving it a like and sharing it with your friends. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to my channel and clicking that little bell button to be notified when those new videos come out, because we've got great content coming out all the time. I appreciate you being here so much. And if you did like this video, I know you're going to love the next one that pops up on your screen.